What's up, YouTube? This is part two of long-term versus short-term women, or marriage material versus short-term women. And so, in the first part, I talked about the way that you present yourself by your looks, or how you interact with other men, or how you set your expectations high at the very beginning. And I gave some examples of that, such as not going over a man's house late at night the first time, allowing him to call you late at night the first time, any signals that could indicate that you're going to be short term, and how sometimes it may feel or appear that these guys, they are rejecting you, and you just seem unrealistic and you should settle. And what I said is, if you have a good man and there's a real man and not your stereotypical man, black professional man, he is going to see that, and that is going to instantly let him know that you are being selected. See, let me say something. I read this book. It's called Catch 'em Keep 'em, and the author is Christian Carter, and he talked about how in our traditional roles back in the day, women, and even, and this even applies, or applies a lot to animals, the animal kingdom, that the females were the ones that selected the mate. So that is why when you see on the Discovery Channel, you've got the different birds, or just a lot of different species of animals that either dance, they either sing, they either fight. The males will do that for one woman, for one female. And so the same is true. Even though we are in the industrial revolution, and women are working and there's more women to men, the same still holds true for that good woman. And I'm making the distinction because if you are a short term woman, then you will oftentimes find that men may not compete for you. In fact, you try to get whoever you can because of whatever insecurity issues you have going on. But when I refer to a 15 to 20% of non-stereotypical black women, good black women, that understand the traditional roles, you're going to have men competing. Okay, good men. If you're out there, if the circumstances are right, even though there's more men than women, I'm telling you that. There are men. You'll be surprised. Oh, the ratio at my college campus is 7-1. Then why are it's reversed? Why is 7 men competing for one woman? Now it could be a situation where it's very short term and they're not really competing. Competition I'm talking about is, I want her to be with me, only me, and not just a sexual way. They will compete for you, ladies. So so we are naturally inclined to be selective. Okay, so you are going to directly or indirectly select men and get rid of the other ones by your behavior. So when I told you in my last video, I said to the gentleman, well, if you're not going to call me and you're only going to text, don't bother. I made that I make that step to let him know what I was on. Now, he, you could see it as, oh well, he didn't select me, but really, I was letting him know that there was probably no chance for what he wanted. Okay, so what I'm talking about now is, as far as the short term and the long term women. How does a long term woman end up turning into a short term woman? Well, I think there are about three things that make that happen. When the woman gets lonely, when the woman is hurt, and when the woman stops thinking logically and rationally. So when the woman is lonely, maybe look comparing herself to other young ladies, her standards decide her standards start to go down. So, okay, I'm not going to let a man come over to my house late at night that I first met. You know what? I'm just going to try it. And that's how she gets in a situation where that man views her, could view her, or is more likely to view her as a short-term girl. Number two, I said when a woman gets lonely, I can't even remember all three of them. but I'll just try to follow off and paraphrase as much as I can. But this is the most important one is actually when a woman gets into a situation where she intentionally lowers her standards, and that's pretty much the first point. But she stops. Oh, this is what it is. She stops thinking logically. So women are naturally inclined to think emotionally, but that doesn't mean that you can't be emotional creatures and think with logic. So think about it. If you don't put yourself in an emotional situation, if you don't have sex with a man or you don't make out with a man, the chances of you becoming emotionally clouded are very slim as compared to if you let those things happen. So they allow that to happen. I'm a woman. I like him. I'm gonna do it. And then the next day they're worried and they're chasing after the man and they're expecting expectations. But I don't care. Listen to me. I don't care what a man says about. I don't care if I like you on the first date and we have sex. That doesn't mean I won't get rid of you. That is just like saying. That is just like talking to a car salesman or an insurance man that says, "Look, if I sell you this product, I can about guarantee you that you're not gonna have any problems." And even with the companies, they'll give you a little bit of a warranty that probably doesn't work very well or doesn't cover your damages. But they're gonna tell you anything. They're trying to sell you something. They have an interest vested in it, so of course they're gonna tell you that. Now, if they say that line until the day you got married and said, you know what, I know we had sex on the first night, but I'm going to go ahead and marry you because I liked you on the first day. Okay. That's a good line because I'm getting what I want out of it. But I don't have anything. There is too much unknown to judge a man's word and say, okay, well, since he said it, I'm going to believe him. And in some cases, some women, some stereotypical professional women, this is how they get caught up. They'll mess with a older man or a baller or something like that, and he'll show her all these golds and these trinkets and this jewelry, and she'll say, well, if he did that, then he says he doesn't care if we sleep together on the first date, so it's all right. But what happens in most of those situations? Maybe 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 20, it actually happens in a marriage. And even if it happens in a marriage, he came into it thinking short term, they're going to have problems because that's how they started off. So I think, okay, let's do the thing that gives us. Let's think logically. What are the statistics if I do the things that are aligned, centrally aligned with my value system, that the results are going to be what I want and are going to reflect my value system? Okay, so I don't want to sleep with a man. I respect my body. I want to give this to my husband one day. I want to have children out of it. I don't want to abuse it. I want to respect that part of my body. I want to have a clear head. I want to give this man my heart and my intellect and my caring and my nurturing. All that other stuff can come later. Then you're going to get that later from him. It's gonna be an equal exchange or close to it. So you know, you got that is how the long term woman, when a guy meets you and he's like, oh yeah, I could see her as a wife, because men pretty much make their decisions very quick on. Just like a woman can say he's ugly, they can make their decision pretty much after light conversation whether you are capable of being a wife. And then they make a couple more decisions after that by indirectly testing you to say, yeah, she could be my wife. See, you are white. You can be a wife, but she could be my wife. See, that's a transformation. So if you stay consistent, and it's going to take time because there's only one husband for you, it's going to take time to weed through. But you are going to start seeing, when you think like that, you get rid of all the players and the jokers, and you will stay long term. But the minute you start getting lonely, or you start, getting, insecure, and you start, you give them a shot, give them a chance, and then they break your heart, you're gonna turn short term. You're gonna turn short term. All right, so I'm gonna make part 3 to this.